Hi there, Jess. How are you today?
I'm good, Christine. How's it going?
Good. So today's the day that we're going to take a deep dive into the new world of recruiting, right? So
Right.
welcome to Work Architects. I'm Christine Nichlos, CEO and founder of People Science. People Science and Hiregate do all things talent acquisition. We've been at this for almost 30 years soon. This is Jess. Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Oberto, Chief Operating Officer here at People Science. I head up our talent acquisition advisory side and also our client service management piece on our RPO partnerships.
We've been working together for about 15 years. So, in
Mm.
case you're new to the channel, here's what's going on. We took a deep dive about 2 years ago, started really looking at the effects of AI as it intertwines with talent acquisition. So, where is talent? First off, where is talent acquisition going? Second off, what does that mean to recruiters in the seat? What does that mean to professional talent acquisition people? And I think this is our time, right? So having mapped out course after course of and trajectory, I'll say, of where we're going as far as TA is concerned, there's some things we came up with that could be pretty unnerving and pretty unsettling. So if you're joining us for the first time, you're going to hear that we're going to say there's no way to avoid it. All of TA is going to be automated. Absolutely. It's already there. It's not working everywhere, but it's starting to work better and better where it is. There are organizations that never meet a candidate and hire them. There are organizations that do a combination. But either way, and you can see behind me the recruiting continuum, every step of recruiting, no matter how we look at it, if not this year, in the near future, is going to be automated, and that automation is just going to get better. So where does that leave us in TA, right? Well, and it's kind of easy, right? Just like you talk about, well, if you're going to take my task away, then intellectually I'm going to be more involved, right? So how do you take a tactical in the seat recruiter who's doing an awesome job and really producing and then say, well, this part, that part, and that part, we want you to help us even automate it. And to us, the secret is in the help. We want to be that guy. What was the term that you said this morning, Jess, about? We want to be the advisors or we want to be the, I just think
Well,
it,
I think talent acquisition needs to own the future of talent acquisition. So instead of us being told what we're going to be doing, why don't we write that story ourselves based on how we know AI can be used in the recruitment cycle? And then really we need to look at what we need to become as recruiters, what I like to call talent advisors, and we're moving into now work architect.
yeah, we want to be the ones who decide our own fate. And with TA, that isn't the case, right? Almost everything that you see, a lot of the work that gets done in TA, if not all of it, goes more to the tactical execution than the design. Now, that's okay in a practical standpoint, time-wise, but from an intellectual property, looking down on TA and getting better at it, and then being able to take that to our CHROs or becoming the CHRO. I think indicative of where TA stands in the HR sphere, how many CHROs do you know that came from recruiting? Like, not too many, right? But
Right.
now is the time. We have that information. So let's talk about where we're going. Today we'll talk about the work architect. So we've already made our case. We have a lot of documentation. Take a look at some of our other stuff that'll tell you some of the metrics that are out there. But one of the things I really do want to bring to the forefront is we still have a lot of positions open. So if you're seeing hemming and hawing and hiring, I will say in the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen a lot of things come on court that were bottled. Today is July 29th, 2026. So to put that in context, I think May was slow. Even April and May was slow. June, we started to see a pickup. And now for the month of July, I think we're seeing a very big pickup in demand for hiring. Uh, but we look at jobs open, that's pretty much stayed the same May to May. It's like 6.9, 7.5 million. I think it was 7.5 million up a tick for the month of May as compared to the month of April before that. So still a lot of hiring going on. But what is that going to look like once AI comes in? Because job descriptions are changing and they need to, right? And where we're seeing the biggest pain points is also within the business themselves. And Jen has run, or Jess has, sorry, Jess has run some scenarios that pretty clearly show what can be done when we change our headset and we start to look and talk about the work. So we're saying the future is not going to be about here's your job description, go find me this person. It's going to be, here's the work. How do we execute the work? Not the people. Let's leave the people out of the equation in the beginning and let's look solely at the work. And what we're seeing is the business side is saying, well, and they're right, the board, everyone is pushing to say, make sure you have AI in your tech stack. How is AI going to help your department? But you're still at a loss, right? Because most of the ops people that we see that are looking at this are saying, okay, here's my current tech stack. What can be automated? And that might be a good place to start, but are you looking at the big picture of the capabilities of AI? Some of these tools are so junior, and it's the guy that's supplying the information that's going to help form where AI goes, right? I guess, was it in the fall when we did the report showing that Reddit has 42% of AI pulls its data from Reddit? We're starting to
Right.
see a shift there. In our webinar at the end of this month that's live, we'll go ahead and share that data as it's been changing, but it's changing a lot. So case in point, do you want Reddit to determine where talent acquisition should go? Or should talent acquisition people be a part of where talent acquisition is going? So we're saying, what does that position, what does TA look like for us in the future? And what we're seeing, just to pull one of those slides up so we can show, is that the architect is looking at the work overall. So now our ecosystem, which used to be, here's your job, right? Where will you find these people? Now our ecosystem looks a lot different. Here's a glimpse of what we're saying the new ecosystem looks like. And by the way, the ecosystem's here now. You can start doing this now. You don't have to wait. In fact, we're launching 3 pilots this month. So we'll stay with us and we'll keep showing you the results of that. So this is the new talent economy,
Ecosystem.
ecosystem. Sorry. This is their economy, same kind of difference, right? So we're going to start all the way over here and we're going to say, instead of this rec coming in, what's coming in is a work order. This is the work that needs to be executed. And if we look at first at AI agents, we can then take that step back that we're seeing our operations leads take and say, what work could be executed by AI agents and what is the technology that's out there now to support this work? Who are those suppliers? What are they building? What does it look like? God knows there's a lot of suppliers out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if TA is the person who keeps this cadre, who has the relationship with the AI suppliers, who makes sure and keeps the business intelligence within their own organizations and the business leaders plugged into the leaders that are creating these AI tools. So not only you're part of the creation, now you're part of the execution, so you start to use it earlier. And that changes what would have been a job description and takes that work order and says, this is the remaining work that won't be executed by AI. And by the way, this isn't like a static thing. Okay, so in 2026, this is how parts of our customer service will be executed through AI. That's going to change in a few months. In fact, we caution people right now, don't sign anything longer than 3 months, because as the technology itself is evolving, it's not just its capabilities, it's its capabilities to be developed that are growing. So as it gets larger and larger and there's more and more work that's executed and more participants in developing it, you want to be in there with your company first and your positions first. So once you've taken a look at the AI agents and what should be done there, and it could be a timing issue, right? Like you might have a wish list this long of AI technology and what it can do. Doesn't mean it's working, doesn't mean it's out there yet. But take the helm of that thought leadership and see what happens from there. I've seen whole products grow based on one person's opinion or one large organization's concept. If you're a Fortune 50 and you say, we want to automate this, just put that out there and see how many companies line up to do it, or the ones that even have it already. So we really see our talent architects sitting there and saying, I know who's out there. I know where their products are going. I know when we're going to be able to implement this. I know what the cost is going to look like. I know what those pieces are. Moving to the second step, we then take a look at contingent. And by contingent, I mean temp, contractors, and outsourcers. People Science is an RPO. Companies outsource their recruiting to us, and we also do advisory. But I can tell you in the outsourcing world, whether it's sales, customer service, we're seeing more and more of what was coined in the late 80s as the Clover effect. Companies are downsizing, getting smaller, and when they need something specific, going out to a contractor, hiring a contractor and bringing a contractor in, aligning themselves with more of a temp force. Those pieces are still growing. So if the Clover effect says, this is my organization, these are outsourced suppliers, these are contractors, these are temporary workers, we're seeing growth in these three and more shrinkage internally. That's been going on since the late 80s. I think we're going to see more of that, especially as technologies change quickly. So maybe you need developers right now for a project that you're creating your own AI for, but you're not going to need them 3 months from now, or you're not going to need them a year from now. Really taking a look at the work instead of saying, let's hire somebody for this, saying, how can this work best be executed using what organizations? By the way, if you look at a lot of the growth in American business since the turn of the century, you'll see that franchising in one way or another was a part of that. And having grown up in the franchise world, I can tell you a lot of corporations that have franchise organizations created the franchises in order to have the work done, executed, and buy it back. So when we look at this contingent side, that's really what occurs to me. What really comes to mind is if you bring a contractor in, yeah, you may hire him, bring him inside. I mean, I know someone right now who sold their entire organization to a large organization, right? So it's a win-win on both sides, but that's in this contingent area, this is where a lot of the thought leadership is. This is a lot of where the value, your competitive advantage resides. You find the right contractors, you find the right contracting organization, and they're going to take you to a level that surpasses everybody else. So we've talked about AI agents, we've talked about contingent. Where should the work be best executed? Internal. And is it like 2 years ago that we started this, skills enhancement, skill training, train up, don't hire from outside, look at your internal staff. I mean, I don't know a Fortune 50 that hasn't done that forever. Right. So I think it's getting better at it. But I think AI tools that we use ourselves and AI tools that you can use within your organization can help you pull the data you need to make really smart decisions, right? Because when a work order comes out, it's no less urgent than a job description. Job description comes out, maybe the cost of vacancy is $10,000 a week for that position, maybe it's $2,000 a week for the position. In any case, you need to understand what you can build and how fast you can build it. Right? So you may have the internal talent. Let's say we're trying to hire leaders, sales leaders, right? And we take a look at our sales base and we say we've got the strength in there. What AI can help you do is determine, do you in fact have strength? I have the strength. How long will it take me to train these people to get them to the point where they can be a leader? And what's my cost and what's my risk involved from there? So AI is going to help us establish whether or not we have the time, or if the ramp up is just too long and we need to go outside, or is this something we should cultivate from within? And if we miss the mark because of the time issue right now and we have to go outside, what kind of programs can we create? And how can I, as the work architect in TA, own that direction and own the kind of training that needs to take place? Because remember, I'm becoming more and more seated with my business. I understand the business of the groups I'm supporting. So now I understand what it really takes to make a successful sales leader.
Right. I also think it's important for organizations to stay in tune with how their employees are using AI currently. So a good example of that is when we had Avery Troy on our webinar previously, and he was able to look at all the work he was doing in his HR job and automate it using AI agents. So sometimes you may not know what's already being used internally with the AI in those roles. So I think it's a good to do a survey, maybe 6 months, 12 months, and just see where it's being applied in the current state.
And how are you crisscrossing, right?
Right.
So let's say the business, same position, the business goes out and they're looking for sales leadership and they say, wait a minute, I found an AI. They're looking for this work requisition, right? Like, what is the work that needs to be executed? And they're saying, there's this AI organization that can tell me what's at the door before I knock on the door of the organization to figure out what's going on. Are you as the TA looking for that and your business partners looking for it? Like, can TA be the owner?
Right.
Can they be the orchestrator of the information? Because AI is going to come into your organization a lot of different ways, through the IT department, through senior leadership, through purchasing, through your brother's cousin's uncle who started a company that's having great success, through, people like Troy Avery who are creating it. So as all these things are happening, who's being the manager of that? I guess at People Science, what we're saying is that should be you. You should be that guy orchestrating this. And if you take the helm of it now, it won't be nearly as challenging. And you can save the organization so much time, energy, and money by saying somebody needs to orchestrate that. Let this be me because I'm the front seat when the work is open. Okay. And then referrals. I think I said this last week, but I Googled it, and Gemini is telling us that 20 to 40% of all hires come from referrals. It used to be 42% like last year. I don't think anybody knows for sure because I don't think this is a highly reported number. I can tell you in our experience, and referrals are really important. And they are for job seekers, probably the best way to get the attention and learn about what you need to know, and quite often to get an offer. But referral programs can get really dicey. I mean, just remember that organization we came in and they were paying $5,000 to every person who went to LinkedIn and pulled out a sales.
Yes, it became a second job for some, but I think having a good program or process in place to control those types of variables, just to confirm these are qualified referrals, not just a connection someone made off of LinkedIn. But at the same time, I do think referrals speak highly of your organization. If your employees are willing to say, hey, you should check out this role, come join me, I think that says a lot.
And the data, well, I think the misnomer is too, referrals are going to produce as much as who referred them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've created programs that have layers, right? Like,
right.
This is somebody I know that's an acquaintance. This is somebody that I've worked with before. Here's what they can do. And this is a genius in the industry. Like different thresholds, depending on how well you know each one of those, can be important depending on how often you use referrals. But you always want to measure the result of the referral, which I think doesn't happen. It happens in the end, right? Like you hear, we thought that Harry's going to be really good because Sally recommended him, and now Sally's got egg on her face. Because why would Sally recommend Harry's not even really good? Like you've got to really track some of these, and sometimes it can almost become incestual, in the respect that because Harry recommended Sally or Sally recommended Harry, they look like a better person across the board. They kind of come in with the wind behind them that other candidates may not. And I think it's up to us in TA to keep that real, right? Like, is this really working? Another organization that we worked with had a very small market because location wise, they had to hire for a facility to execute production, right? So you couldn't go to the grocery store without meeting somebody who worked there. Everybody knew everybody. But when they saw that production was dropping, some big decisions had to be made. Could they stay there and still raise production? Could they, did they need to relocate the work somewhere else? Did they need to actually create another factory situation somewhere else? So once you start to look at this referral information, there are a lot of good data comes up about whether or not it's effective. This is a good time to look at that. So as you're looking at the work execution across the board and architecting where it goes, your referrals definitely need to be part of that. So the next two, sourced and incoming, they're kind of easy to understand if you're a recruiter because that's what you're doing now, right? You post the position over here on incoming, you collect what comes in, you make decisions based on that. And God knows the AI tools are rapidly picking up. Our own AI tool, Hiregate, is picking up as far as sourcing, screening, doing assessments, and really aiding us in getting to the pieces that we already know. I mean, Jess, I don't know if you agree with me, but when I look at where AI is right now in talent acquisition, it's those two pieces, right? It's incoming and
Absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
allowing you to source better. So it's important to keep an eye on those. Certainly important to keep feeding the vendors of AI to this, especially because there's some of the new technology is built by really good AI developers who had an idea, but it doesn't necessarily match the business. I mean, it was the same thing when we saw SaaS platforms come out. You think this is going to be really good, then you take a look at it and it's executed by somebody who doesn't understand the work, so it's not there. So I think that, the dream team for me is somebody from the organization, an AI developer who knows how to develop AI, and an AI company or somebody within the organization to focus on my business or that specific part of my business when I look at today how we're automating TA. So it's quite different, right? So the easy shortcut on this is scrap the job description. As soon as somebody sends you one, just turn around and say, what's the work that needs to be executed? How do I get there from here? We hope you'll take advantage of this. We hope you'll be one of the first ones to jump out. Stick with us as we pilot, and we'll keep letting you know what's going on. Jess, anything to add?
I just think, again, it's important to think ahead, think of what TA can claim and doing and using with AI and take ownership over that.
Awesome. Next week, we're going to take a look at some real positions that we're looking to introduce this concept of let's look at the work, not just the rec. And we'll go through those step by step. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.